This is another one of Spike's commissions, and it actually is the last one. And man, it's been such a long time. It's hard to remember a time when I wasn't making stuff for Spike. I mean, it all started back in the day. It was a pretty standard fare. He just wanted to make some characters from the old cartoons and comic. Started out with Princess Sally, Bunny. This is the first time I ever made a Jeffrey St. John. And in fact, I think it's still the only time I ever made Jeffrey St. John. And I made Antoine, Knack the Weasel. I mean, it wasn't the first time I made Knack the Weasel. It wasn't the last time either. Rotor. I even made his wedding cake topper, which incidentally was the first time I ever made a classic style Princess Sally. I actually remember I made Princess Sally just as a classic figure, and then later on revealed that it was to be the bride on the topper, and it caught a few people by surprise with that. Then I made the entire Destructix team, including Mammoth Mogul and Fiona. Oh, those are good times. That took a long time by itself, now that I think about it. Then my first ever Nicole, and King Max for that matter. I even made Regina and Snively, a character that I can't believe I hadn't gotten around to years ago. And, well, the most recent one was Monkey Khan, which I made for him just like at the beginning of this month. But now, after 21 figures, that's the most any single guy has ever ordered from me, we finally reached the end with Ixis Naugus, the last figure that Spike has commissioned from me. As is traditional for when I make a character that is not popular from the video game franchise, it is time to do a bit of backstory. In this case, Naugus comes all the way back from the Sat AM cartoon, although he only did appear in one episode, The Void. Naugus discovered the Void and was working with Dr. Robotnik to explore it. He was supposed to be recalled from it after an hour, but Robotnik betrayed him and just, left him in there. King Max would also be confined within the Void as well. And it was in this episode that, all that stuff was made to light and they were revealed and everybody found out stuff. Naugus was kind of special in this show in that he was the only person that Robotnik, well, this version of Robotnik, truly feared. In fact, once Naugus was freed from the zone, he used his magical powers to just transform Dr. Robotnik's head into various things. Here's a Slughead Robotnik, but he also, turned him into a pig and made him eat slop and stuff. So, yeah, eventually it turned out that Naugus and King Max had spent so much time in the Zone of Silence that their bodies had acclimated and they were forced to return lest they turned to inanimate crystal forever. Although it was shown in the final episode that those glowing red eyes that Snively was saying was going to help him, this was Naugus. Snively had found a way to free Naugus from the Zone of Silence, and he was set to be the primary antagonist of Season 3. Which, sadly, we never got. Fortunately, of course, the comic book would continue with a whole bunch of stuff that the cartoon never got a chance to do, and that gave us an entirely new backstory for Ixis Naugus. So let's take a look at the comic book origins of him. Alright, keep with me. In the comic book, it turns out that Naugus was actually 3 people. They were the Rhino, Master of Earth, named Agonus, the Bat, Master of Wind, Nusgau, and the Lobster, Master of Water, named Sugana. In case you haven't noticed, all of those names are anagrams for the word Naugus. See the reference? After being dealt a defeat at the hands of the Knights of Albion, they sought to master the 4th element, fire, which they promised to share among one another by flying into the sun, which is the source of the element. Of course, they were all treacherous and tried to betray each other. This resulted in all 3 of them flinging magic at each other and getting stuck in the sun and being spat out as a single entity. An Ixis wizard, Ixis being the title of wizard they're from, and their name was now Naugus. So as a single entity, they sought to, they went back to the kingdom of Acorn and remained as the royal wizard. when Nate Morgan came in and started showing the citizens of the Acorn Kingdom how to use and develop technology, Naugus's magic became more and more outdated. So he actually conspired to get Nate Morgan framed for terrible things that got him exiled, and, well, you know how that all worked out. He still created the Zone of Silence, he still got banished into it by Dr. Eggman, and yeah, pretty much the same stuff from the cartoon, except it was elaborated more. So let's skip ahead to after that part. At one point, Naugus was even aligned with Mammoth Mogul, after finding out that Mogul was actually the one who founded the Ixis Order. Of course, a lot of things would happen, including his mind being destroyed, leaving him as little more than a feral monster, still in control of some magics, but with no capabilities of conspiratoriality or anything like that. However, he would be saved from this state by none other than Geoffrey St. John, who was revealed to be one of his followers. Geoffrey was never very good at the Ixis magic, but he did get well connected, and he used the Chaos Emerald to help restore Naugus's mind. Naugus then proceeded to try and use political leverage to take control of the Kingdom of Acorn, claiming that since while they were trapped in the Zone of Silence, the King Max had sworn loyalty to him, meaning that the Kingdom of Acorn legitimately belonged to him. And believe it or not, the citizens of Knothole were actually willing to go along with this. Even the rest of the Knothole government. Even Sonic was forced reluctantly to follow along with this, on condition like they had a common enemy in Dr. Robotnik, and Naugus promised to play nice. You know how that works. By the way, this did happen pretty much right after the Iron Dominion arc, so a lot of the citizens of Knothole were mistrusting of Nicole at the time, because in the brief time that she'd been assimilated, she had actually used the Nanite City to capture the people to be, legionized for the Eggman Empire. That's the kind of thing that your average person on the street is willing to go for the new hotness that says, I'm not a demonic artificial intelligence who will sell you out to some technomancer. I'm merely a, wizard king. Then the first Genesis wave came by. You remember this. It was the one where Princess Sally ended up getting roboticized and captured. Well, it turned out to have an effect on Naugus too. The three original people who had combined to form him, their personalities started to reassert themselves, and each one of them was trying to take control of Naugus's mind. It would take all of Naugus's concentration to stay himself, because his mind was a fourth consciousness, which was a gestalt of the other three. So he now existed separate from the three minds that had made him up, and it was eating away at his sanity. In addition to this, his body was also beginning to undergo mutations. He would look more and more monstrous, and would rely on the magical boost the Chaos Emerald gave him in order to give himself a normal appearance. As normal as a chimeric abomination of a lobster, rhinoceros, and bat can look. Oh, by the way, in the original cartoon, he had a lizard tail, but he lost that in the comic book, except for when it temporarily grew back when he mutated. Well, you know what? On this image, I'd like to wish you all a happy Halloween. So, seeking to gain more power and control of his condition, he would do everything from attempt to mind control the citizens of Knothole, and even transfer himself into a host body. He tried to convince King Max to let him in, and even Sonic's father, but they both refused him. The last time we saw this version of Naugus was when he had possessed Geoffrey St. John. Remember, this was a thing to prevent his body from mutating any further. So by possessing Geoffrey's body, he could stabilize himself until he could figure out how to solve the problem. In Geoffrey's body, he made a claim that Naugus was dying, and he was just trying to set everything in order before the axe fell, but we never got to find out what came of this, because that's when the second Super Genesis wave happened. as you know, the Super Genesis wave was a soft reboot of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book. But after the Worlds Collide storyline ended, Naugus, back to his relatively normal appearance, touched Nicole's PDA, which was holding a lot of that Genesis energy, and it restored his memories of the previous timeline. This seemed to cause him to go insane, and he jumped out a window. That was the last time we really saw Naugus in the comic. He did just make a return in the latest issue of Sonic Universe, but I'm not yet sure what his long game is. But that's something that we're going to find out later. For now, it's been way too long. I'm pretty sure you all want to see the Ixis Naugus toy, so let's just go ahead and do that. The base figure for Naugus is Slash from the original Ninja Turtles toy line. This is a figure that couldn't be dismantled, so I had to do it all in one piece. First I had to cut off his accoutrements, like, all the spikes and the bandana and stuff, and I even sanded away his shell. Then I of course had to sculpt on everything, like the ears, horn, beard, and sculpt the shell smooth. With everything sculpted on, all things considered, it was a relatively light sculpt job. I was even able to use most of his face, including his left eye and his mouth. It creates this delightfully asymmetrical look. Painted up, it's kind of amazing how a simple nose job and a couple of bat ears can turn Slash into Naugus, huh? Okay, so then I just made a cape out of a piece of a t-shirt material, and there is the Naugus figure. Man, this part of the video is really short, isn't it? I did forget to mention that the right hand is actually one of Knuckles' fists. I cut off the spikes and carved in some fingers so it looks like a proper hand instead of Knuckles' big old boxing glove. Although the other hand is just a pure sculpt. Since it's a Slash figure, it only has basic articulation, swivel cuts at the shoulders, a bicep cut, ball-jointed hips, and a swivel cut neck. That's about it, but, it still kind of works, and this stance, he can actually still look pretty menacing, like he's doing some Ixis gestures. So, that's the 22nd figure I've made for Tekka Spike. As of right now, he doesn't have anything else for me to do for him, so it's an end of an era. Of course, I still have a bunch of other stuff to do, including another commissioner who I haven't done anything for a while. Alright, so, this is Wake Angel 2001, and I'm signing off.